In your headlines, the rise in cases has unsurprisingly sparked grave concern from the PDM. The government has re-implemented COVID-19 measures, and the excitement surrounding the Frontier airline was short-lived. From the PTV Broadcasting Headquarters in Providencial is your number one source for news. I'm Erica Pinales, delivering the latest from across the country this Tuesday, January 11th, 2022, right to your door. Newswatch starts now. The rapid rise in cases has unsurprisingly sparked some grave concern regarding the dramatic spike, as well as concerns over the way in which the spread is being contained. PDM sounds off.
Deputy Leader of the People's Democratic Movement, Robert Bean, days after a sit-down with PTV, is even more concerned over the spike in COVID-19 cases on the Ministry of Health's dashboard, which he says may not be depicting accurate numbers. Either way, he says these are just a few considerations that government should take into account in order to curb the spread, and stating curfew between 12 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a 3-week period, mandating the closure of businesses at 11 p.m., call on employers to establish remote working environments, providing employees with the various tools that will enable them to be productive while working remotely, or rotate staff work schedules. Remote working or shift systems should be encouraged for both the Turks and Caicos Islands government and the private sector. Teachers to be allowed to work from home during virtual learning to minimize the risk and spread of COVID-19 among staff. Random home visits by the Ministry of Health to police those on quarantine. And lastly, reduce the social gathering quota. Bean is, as he puts it, appealing to government and the Minister of Health to take the spread of the coronavirus seriously, saying, quote, "The COVID-19 dashboard numbers continue to alarm the people of the Turks and Caicos. We are aware and concerned that the Ministry of Health is unable to release real-time COVID-19 results, which indicates that the COVID-19 positive numbers are higher than what is listed on the dashboard. Even more concerning is that the numbers on the dashboard only reflect positives from PCR tests and not antigen tests," end quote. He continues on that while we all would like to see decreased numbers on the dashboard, it is equally important to remain transparent in order to produce efficacy in the fight against the spread. He went on to state the importance of knowing whether or not the spike in cases is due to the existence of the Omicron variant, which officials have yet to confirm, other than to say it is likely in country. He continued, quote, "If the TCI continues to experience an uptick in its COVID-19 numbers, we will be seeing more notices of shutdowns, every island affected by COVID-19, increase in hospitalizations, and an overwhelming increase in positive cases." The deputy leader went on to suggest a shuffle in minister portfolios if it means that matters will be looked into more alarmingly.
In response to recent trends that show an increase in COVID-19 numbers here in the TCI, the government, through the Ministry of Health and Human Services, is implementing measures that will help blunt transmission and prevent overwhelming hospitalizations. Details in this report. From a press release, we've gathered that some of these COVID-19 measures and protocol came into effect on Friday, January 7th, and the others will come active on Friday, 14th, January 2022 at 5 a.m., and unless otherwise stated, will remain in effect until February 28th, 2022. The press release states that, quote, "Based on the trajectory of the pandemic, the levels of vaccination in the country, and the available capacity within the health sector, Cabinet has decided to make the following changes," end quote. Said press release also says that, quote, "They approved policy for the voluntary vaccination of children aged 5 to 11 years against COVID-19 in line with UK JCVI Joint Commission on Vaccination and Immunization Guidelines, and in response to an increase in positive cases recorded in TCI among children. Plans are being developed to source the approved dosages for children," end quote. It says that, quote, "Effective January 7th, 1. Social gatherings and social activities, including public beaches of more than 50 persons, shall require a permit. 2. Bi-weekly testing of frontline staff to include teachers with an exemption of those that received their booster shot or who became fully vaccinated within the last 3 months," end quote. It also says that, quote, Effective January 14th, only patrons who are fully vaccinated or have a negative COVID-19 test within 24 hours are permitted to enter restaurants, bars, nightclubs, discotheques, and attend religious events and funerals. Regulation applies to those 12 years of age and above. Approved amendments to the arriving passengers' health clearance, regulations with the lowering of mandatory testings to person 2 years old and above for arriving visitors and residents returning to the TCI, end quote. The press release also reads that, additionally, to avoid learners losing school time, the government has re-implemented its online learning platform. Parents are encouraged to have their children vaccinated. Meanwhile, the deputy governor and head of the civil service has advised that the public service business continuity plan has been implemented as an option to help to slow the spread of the highly contagious Omicron variant, end quote. Finally, it says that, quote, the Ministry of Health and Human Services encourages everyone to follow all public measures and get vaccinated with your first, second, or booster shot if you have not done so already. The public is also reminded that the wearing of masks in public places is still mandatory, and failure to wear a mask when required remains a criminal offense, end quote. It's time for a quick break. When we return, more Newswatch.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at Stubbs Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Welcome back to Newswatch. With the rapid rise in COVID-19 cases, the judiciary has taken a decision to suspend all jury trials. More in this report.
The Chief Justice, Mabel Agyman, has directed that all jury trials are suspended as of Monday, January 10th. She advises that if the trend of rising COVID-19 cases continues, a formal notice will be issued suspending all in-person hearings in all courts. In the meantime, members of the bench and the registrar are empowered to choose the mode of trial. This means that court hearings will either be held remotely or in a hybrid manner, which employs both remote and in-person hearings. The decision to hold court in one of the two manners, that would be in-person or hybrid hearings, will be made by the court or by way of an application filed with the court by lawyers on either side. While the court has taken the decision to suspend jury trials and go back to the 2020 mode of hearings, the spike in COVID cases continues. Over the weekend, the cases spiked to 519, the highest number of active cases to date, with Providenciales, Grand Turk, and South Caicos seeing a marked increase. As at Sunday night, a decrease was seen, with the numbers of active cases reduced to 402. On Tuesday, Minister of Health, Honorable Jamel Robinson, will be speaking with the media, providing an update on the situation in the country and any steps his government may be taking to arrest the situation. In the meantime, the minister is urging everyone to take personal responsibility for their own health.
With all that is going on across the world with this COVID-19 pandemic, the one thing that has been consistent from the very beginning: personal responsibility has been key. We cannot continue to scoreboard watch. The bedrock of our strategy and subsequent success to date are as follows. Now more than ever, going forward, personal responsibility will be the order of the day. But it is imperative that we demonstrate personal responsibility. Get your booster shot and protect yourself. It is your personal responsibility to do so. These are the things, like the Premier would have said, we're balancing lives and livelihoods. So everybody has to take their personal responsibility. You can also show your own personal responsibility to protect yourself as well as protect those around you. Is satisfied with minimal hospitalizations and urge you to take personal responsibility. As it was then, it is now. Personal responsibility is the order of the day.
For PTV Newswatch, I am Delana Isles.
We'll be right back when we return your weather forecast. Sister Craft Market Souvenir Shop. Come and visit us for your travel keepsakes, keychains, artwork, t-shirts, clothing, jewelry, and many more. We're located at the Lower Bight gas station in Providenciales, and you can contact us at 649-341-3070. That's 649-341-3070. Sister Craft Market and Souvenir Shop.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at Stubbs Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Welcome back to Newswatch. Here's the latest in your weather forecast. Here's your weather forecast for January 12th, 2022. On the nation's capital, Grand Turk, on Wednesday, partly cloudy skies, high 78, low 72, winds east at 10 to 20 miles per hour. For South Caicos on Wednesday, partly cloudy skies, high 78, low 72, winds east at 10 to 20 miles per hour. For North and Middle Caicos on Wednesday, mostly cloudy skies, high 78, low 71, winds east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. For Parrot and Pine Key on Wednesday, partly cloudy skies, high 78, low 72, winds east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. And on Providenciales on Wednesday, partly cloudy skies, high 78, low 72, winds east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. For your sunrise and sunset, sunrise 6:31 a.m., sunset 5:25 p.m. And for your high tides and low tides, high tide 3:27 a.m., 3:44 p.m. and low tides 9:56 a.m., 9:44 p.m. And that's it for your weather forecast. We'll be right back with more Newswatch.
Here at People's Television, we're more than just your leading news and entertainment services. We are
spreading the gospel.
We are breaking barriers.
We are preserving the culture. Each one, teach one.
We are committed to excellence.
We're creating change.
We are creating memories.
We are the future.
I am PTV.
I am PTV. I am PTV.
I am PTV.
We are PTV.
We are continuing the legacy. We are PTV.
Welcome back to Newswatch. Residents were excited about the new airline Frontier that began flights to the TCI into Orlando back in December. However, it seems that the excitement was short-lived. Here's why.
Newswatch received reports that Frontier Airlines was able to make 2 voyages to the TCI since its launch back in December, one being its inaugural flight from the TCI into Orlando, and the other just last Sunday, arriving 2 days later than its scheduled Friday pickups. After asking around, Newswatch learned that airport officials were informed of a pause by the airlines. However, we did not receive a reason behind the suspension in flights that were initially scheduled to fly every Friday. Without the pause, the airline should have been coming up onto its 5th flight to and from the country. Some speculation is the rapid rise in cases that took place between late last year and early 2022, while others are saying that flight bookings for the airline into Orlando just aren't high enough to accommodate a weekly flight. Newswatch knows that Orlando is a great vacation spot for islanders who usually frequent the city due to its fair accommodation prices and vast list of family activities. However, vacation time is on pause for many who have just gone back to work and returned to school after the holidays. Whatever the reason, Newswatch is still on a hunt to find out and will keep you posted.
This story has so much valid information that we thought we'd run it again just in case you missed it. The best way to protect yourself and your loved ones remains the COVID-19 vaccine, which is readily accessible from all clinics in the TCI at no cost for residents above the age of 12 years. In addition, the TCI has launched the booster vaccine program for persons who received their last dose of the vaccine more than 6 months ago. It is important for those who are eligible for the booster to seize this opportunity to bolster your protection against COVID-19. Please contact your local healthcare provider to get your vaccine and your booster dose, end quote. They share some helpful tips which read, protect those not eligible for vaccination, such as young children, by getting yourself and other eligible people around them vaccinated. Wear a well-fitting mask over your nose and mouth if you're in public and indoor settings, especially while around other persons. Even those who are fully vaccinated should wear a mask in public and indoor setting. Outdoors are safer than indoors. Avoid crowded, poorly ventilated spaces. If you're sick or have symptoms, do not host or attend any social gathering. Get tested if you have symptoms of COVID-19 or had close contact with someone who has COVID-19. Call the health hotlines of 331-0911 or 232-9444 to arrange testing. Be reminded to practice physical distancing and frequent hand hygiene. The Ministry of Health and Human Services say if you're considering traveling, the Ministry of Health recommends that eligible persons are fully vaccinated prior to doing so. All eligible should strongly consider taking their booster. Please familiarize yourself with the entry requirements for any countries you may visit. Persons who are fully vaccinated can apply for their COVID-19 vaccine e-certificate by sending an email to vaccineid@gov.tc to include 2 forms of identification and a copy of the handwritten card issued at the time of vaccination, end quote. They also update us on the following. If you're not fully vaccinated and travel, please be reminded that all unvaccinated residents on their return to TCI are subject to a mandatory 7-day quarantine on their return to the TCI with a test at the end of the quarantine period, which must be negative before release. Consume alcohol in moderation. Intoxication not only contributes to accidents, but also compliance with health protocols. They also added special considerations which read, persons with underlying medical conditions or on treatment that may weaken their immune system are still vulnerable to COVID-19, even if fully vaccinated. These persons should continue to take all precautions, including wearing a well-fitted mask when around others. If a member of your household or a household that you visit has a weakened immune system or is at an increased risk for severe disease, it is recommended that they themselves and you wear a mask when in contact. If you are gathering with a group of people from multiple households, you should consider implementing additional precautions. Example, avoiding crowded indoor spaces. testing and knowing your COVID-19 status before the gathering to further reduce risk. It is important that everyone takes the necessary precautions to enjoy a safe holiday season this year. Let us work together to keep one another safe and protect those who are vulnerable in our communities. That brings us to the end of this edition of The Real News. I hate to leave you so soon, but of course, you can join us right back here every weekday at 6:30 p.m. and tap into our social media platforms at www.ptv8tci.com. I'm Erica Pinales, keeping you informed, updated, and affiliated. Until next time.